Put it in your insidest pocket, Asta whispered. Malcolm put the acorn into the inside breast pocket of his jacket and then sat down very carefully. He was trembling. They were arresting him, he whispered. They weren't police. No, but they weren't robbers. They were sort of calm about it, as if they were allowed to do anything they wanted. Just go home, said Asta, in case they saw us. They weren't even bothering to look, said Malcolm. But he agreed with her. They should go home. They spoke quietly together while he paddled quickly back towards Duke's Cut. I bet he's a spy, she said. Could be. And those men, CCD, shh. The CCD was the Consistorial Court of Discipline, an agency of the church concerned with heresy and unbelief. Malcolm didn't know much about it, but he knew the sense of sickening terror the CCD could produce through hearing some customers once discuss what might have happened to a man they knew, a journalist. He had asked too many questions about the CCD in a series of articles and had suddenly vanished. The editor of his paper had been arrested and jailed for sedition, but the journalist himself had never been seen again. We mustn't say anything about this to the sisters, said Asta. Especially not to them, Malcolm agreed. It was hard to understand, but the Consistorial Court of Discipline was on the same side as the Gentle Sisters of Godstow Priory, sort of. They were both parts of the church. The only time Malcolm had seen Sister Benedicta distressed was when he'd asked her about it one day. Now, these are mysteries we mustn't inquire into, Malcolm, she'd said. They're too deep for us. But the Holy Church knows the will of God and what must be done. We must continue to love one another and not ask too many questions. Well, the first part was easy enough for Malcolm, who was fond of most things he knew. But the second part was harder. However, he didn't ask any more about the CCD. It was nearly dark when they reached home. Malcolm dragged La Belle Sauvage out of the water and under the lean-to at the side of the inn and hurried inside, his arms aching, and raced up to his bedroom. Dropping his coat on the floor and kicking his shoes under the bed, he switched on the bedside light while Asta struggled to pull the acorn out of the insidest pocket. When Malcolm had it in his hand, he turned it over and over, examining it closely. Look at the way this is carved, he said, marveling. Try opening it. He was doing that as she spoke, gently twisting the acorn in its cup without any success. It didn't unscrew, so he tried harder and then tried to pull it. But that didn't work either. Try twisting the other way, said Asta. That would just do it up tighter, he said. But he tried, and it worked. The thread was the opposite way. I never seen that before, said Malcolm. Strange. So neatly and finely made were the threads that he had to turn it a dozen times before the two parts fell open. There was a piece of paper inside. I'm Michael Sheen, and it was my privilege to read the audiobook of La Belle Sauvage, The Book of Dust, Volume 1.